Coalition airstrikes are fighting to turn the tide against ISIS, but our British allies and others are wondering about the overall strategy. Mike Rogers, back from a visit to London.
One of the things that I think has shocked our British friends is this lack of strategy. I think that they'll be with us if we can put together a coherent strategy for Syria and Iraq. I really do believe that.
General Jack Keane is chairman of the Institute for the Study of War and a Fox News military analyst. Gillian Turner worked for the White House National Security Council and under Presidents Obama and President Bush. Welcome. Good to have you both here with us. Now, Jack, let me get to you first in terms of addressing this issue of what the Brits think of our strategy so far.
Yeah, well, certainly Chairman Rogers has put his finger right on it. The Brits have been talking about this, and so have our other coalition partners, particularly the Arabs. And what it comes down to is simply this, Martha. ISIS has a timetable, but the timetable that the coalition in the United States on is totally different. Ours is, let's stand up an indigenous force in Iraq in a year plus, and Syria even greater than that. ISIS has not been contained. They're on the offense. So what is the problem is that our strategy, our plans and resources are not matching what is happening with ISIS. And to dramatize it is the Iraqi divisions, there's 18 of them. One is protecting the oil fields. 5 of them don't exist anymore. 3 of them are below 50%. All the rest are between 50 and 60%. That would take thousands of advisors to reconstitute that, not hundreds. And we only have 12 advisor teams out there with 12 brigades. So Chairman Rogers knows this, the Brits know this. The problem is even bigger than that, but I just wanted to give you an example of something that is quite dramatic.
It is quite dramatic. And let's listen to one more piece of sound here from Mike Rogers about the timetable that you referenced, General. Listen to this.
Here's my concern. If we don't do this smaller, more effective thing now, we will get to the point where we're going to have big maneuver military elements. Special forces capabilities, special capability soldiers, and intelligence officials are needed if you're going to be more impactful. If you put a 20-year plan together to beat ISIL, you'll have 40 years of trouble.
But still, Gillian, no sign that President Obama, whose administration you worked in at one point, has any interest in putting special forces boots on the ground or ramping up this exercise.
Look, I'd point out that there are 2 core components to our strategy to combat ISIS in the Middle East generally. We've got military operations and intelligence operations. Both are equally crucial to the mission, and both are going to have to be somewhat seamlessly streamlined here. You know, something else that Chairman Rogers pointed out this weekend, and I agree with him on this point, is that the phenomenon of these lone wolf operatives constitutes a tremendous threat to our national security, and they're on the rise. So in light of that, I think that any conversation we have about our strategy in the Middle East is going to have to include plans to confront this type of emerging threat here at home.
Yeah, no doubt. You've got sort of ends of the ISIS spectrum, General. And on one end of that spectrum, you have these lone wolf attacks, which is sort of the least coordinated. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you have the central operations of this group, which needs to be eliminated to kind of cut off the bloodstream that ends up trickling down to the kind of things we're seeing here at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way to deglamorize ISIS and certainly stop the self-motivation and radicalization of some of our citizens as well as others is to pulverize ISIS, to destroy it, to make it go away, and by doing that, certainly this sort of luster that they have right now and the persona that they have will go away. I also believe we need to counter the narrative. It's a very important part of the administration's strategy, which they have not unveiled and we see no evidence of, is to undermine this narrative and this ideology this organization has.
That's a great point. And we have not seen any coordinated effort on that here or at home. Just a quick thought from both of you as we watched the flags being taken down from our bases in Afghanistan over the weekend. You wonder what ISIS thinks as they watch this pullout of our military and of Britain's military as well from a base that they've been at for 13 years. Gillian first, and then General Keane.
Well, I would add that the new and unpleasant reality here is that success is going to be more about our ability to show resilience in the aftermath of these types of attacks rather than being able to, with any degree of certainty, prevent them. You know, even if our intelligence community does everything it possibly can and is 100% right in 100% of the instances we're dealing with, we just don't have the capability to track and monitor every vulnerable individual across the globe and, you know, put the kibosh on an attack before it happens.
General Jack Keane, your thoughts on the pullout from Afghanistan?
Well, 13 years, longest war we've ever been involved in, 2,000 plus Americans killed there, to be sure. We just transitioned to a new government. He's a political reformer, Ashraf Ghani. He's a step in the right direction. 85% of the Afghan people have always rejected the Taliban. Every single year we've done a survey. That's how they feel about it today. I hope we have learned the lessons from Iraq, Martha, that you have talked about so much here, and that is that we do leave a force behind there to help Ashraf Ghani continue to train his forces and also to provide the necessary intelligence that he will desperately need as we go forward here.
Well, we've seen what happens when we leave a vacuum behind, and we'll see how this is handled from the top. General Keane, thank you so much. Gillian, thank you for being here today.
Thanks.
See you both soon.
So the clock's running.